Hi colouring friends. Well, I know it's a bit delayed and I did promise this a while ago, but I've not been feeling great. So please bear with me with my videos. I promise you I will be uploading more frequently than I have been. But I thought that I would do my stencil video. I've been talking about doing a quick just demonstration and showing you which stencils I've got and which stencils are coming in handy for my colouring, and I thought that I'd just run through which ones I think are really good and my recommendations. This whole stack here I got off of Facebook, and there's a lovely lady called Marilyn who runs a group called Red Dot Laser Designs, and that's over on Facebook, and she makes them custom for people, and she also just does random ones too, and they're always amazing. So I'll run you through these first. I'm going to just stick something dark because otherwise it's not going to show up the designs. So I'm going to put this here. Okay, so I'll start off with this one. Is a Christmas wreath, and this will come in really good for any Christmas ones that you've got a big background on. Again, this is another Christmas themed one. It's got motifs on it, snowflake, holly, jingle bells and a stocking, and that is really nice. I love that one. This is like sky elements, and now this is sun rays. I'll turn it that way. Sun rays, rain, stars, moon and clouds. And Marilyn also gives you the cutouts of the other things, so that in case you wanted to do it the other way and have the small cutouts and go around them with your chalk pastels or whatever you might be doing, rather than go through the hole. So she gives you the option of both, which is really nice. She's so good, Marilyn. I mean, she's amazing at this now. And then I got a script stencil, which is really good for doing if you've got anything themed with like words, books, libraries, anything like that. And then this is a background one for flowers. I love this one. These are roses. Roses are one of my favourite things to colours, so I absolutely love this. And then another background one of diamantes, diamonds and mini ones inside. This one I requested and I'm so in love with it. It's autumnal, falling leaves. I love it. I think it's amazing. This is another nice big background flower one. This is grass, butterfly or dragonfly and birds. Oh, there is a butterfly in there. Love that too. That can be applied to quite a few pictures. This one is clouds, in case you, instead of cutting out, you can go down the page with clouds, mountains and grass. I think that's really nice. This is another background one that you can do in, this would look really effective in like black and grey, and then you can highlight with white. These are just different designs, like a grunge. I absolutely adore this. I think it's amazing. I love the honeycomb. I love the bees. I love it. This is a doily. This is another elemental one that I like, a very grunge one. I actually used this part of the stencil on this lady. She didn't have any effects down her whatsoever when I first did her, and I got this on the small amounts, not the larger ones, and I went down with a coloured pencil. I did this in polychromos, and I moved it as I went along and picked out which shapes I wanted, and I did that down her entire body from her face. So I gave her like a texture because she's a snake and she's textured anyway, so I thought that would be nice. And then I added some black pen in as well and did that down her. So I was really pleased with how she turned out in the end, because I didn't know where I was going with this, and I really enjoyed this one. This is from Jowie Lim's Friends of Nature. I absolutely adore that book. I've got a Facebook group that's called Colorist Friends of Nature Colorists. This is just dedicated to Jowie Lim, I loved this. I thought it was amazing. So I was so pleased when I used this stencil for the first time. And as I said, I didn't do this with pastels, I did this with coloured pencil. So I picked out what parts I wanted, and 9 times out of 10 I chose the smaller ones. So all these ones here. And I went down her body, and you can give like textured looks to anything really. So I was really pleased with that one. And then I've got, this is to do with the galaxy elements. So you've got all the spotted like star, night sky, stars, and then the galaxy effects. I love this one. This one I also am in love with, and I can't wait to use it. This is different skin. So you've got reptile. It's another reptile one. That's like scales, mermaid scales, fish scales, and that's like an alligator skin. So I really love that one as well. This one is just like for backgrounds that I really like a Hessian effect. This one's roses, background roses. Again, really nice. Love this. This is a larger sort of doily, laced doily effect. Again, really lovely. Very, very, very effective. Absolutely adore this. And then also Marilyn did this wonderful set of Halloween, and she cuts out again these small parts and includes them in case you wanted to go around with them. So that's 2 of them. There's a 6-pack, another one. I think these are so effective. And then the other 2 would be, this has got, I use this for actually on my pumpkins with a Posca pen. So then you've got the spiderweb spiders, and then the bats, which I really love. And then of course you got to have a happy Halloween. So that was the Halloween pack. There's a 6-pack, and as I said, Marilyn gives you the cutouts inside of the witches as well. So she includes them for you in case you wanted to use them. And then I also bought these. These are from Amazon. I've had these for 2 or 3 years now. So I've got bubbles, which this is my most used stencil. It's small, it's a mini one, it's great. Stars, splashes. Again, this is another one I use. I'll show you what I've used this on in a moment. Honeycomb, raindrops, and hearts. So I'll quickly show you what I've used. So apart from the lady that I've just showed you, I've also used it bubbles. I like to create bubbles on a bubble effect. So if you just bear with me, like here. So this had no bubbles in it at all, and I've put in bubbles here, and I actually drew this in with coloured pencil. Again, this is not these, and you can pick out the various ones, and I've put it all around. This calendar is amazing, guys, and Kelly O'Gorman is really graciously sending me her new calendar, and I will do a feature. But she has got the most amazing calendars, and the quality is just incredible. This was last year's calendar. I still got to finish it, but I have put in bubbles, and again around the month, and I also did it on another one. You can create so many effects, and I mean that you can go to town with stencils. You can do what you want, really. Again, this is another one that I added bubbles in, and I also did splashes in this one because you can add anything you want. And this was my favourite that I've done on this calendar. This was my Pisces koi carps, and I added splashes with my splash stencils, and again around there, and I've added in bubbles. She's had a couple on there, but I added more, and you can more or less add in what you want. And the way I coloured this as well, I coloured it with mostly polychromos, and then I added Posca paint pen to give the koi carp more effect, and I added in more splashes, more bubbles, and just really made it pop off the page. And I was really happy with this. I did this back in January of this year. So that's how you can use them. You can also use them, I mean that's just me doing it with coloured pencils. You can use chalk pastels, and I would recommend using chalk pastels. You just apply over a stencil. These are the Faber-Castell pack. These are the 72. I'm just going to grab a piece of paper. But the way you can do this is you do not have to use pencils. I personally prefer to go around in a pencil. I love using, of all things, cotton buds for the ears. Now you can get into more intricate detail with that. So if we just go ahead and you can add in more or less any effect that you want. But I would recommend for the bubbles, it comes out however you want it. And then you can when you've smudged off, you can get a piece of cotton wool, or you can get a tissue, just dab off any excess, and then with a pencil you can add in the detail and add in the highlights. Like, I'm not going to add in all the detail now, but you can grab a white pen and you can add in the shine of a bubble. You can go as dark as you want, you can go as light as you want, but you can add more or less anything. Again, you can grab a different honeycomb one, for example. I'm just giving this as a very quick demonstration because there's so much. I mean, it's relatively easy. There's not too much to fuss about with. So we're going to go for a honeycomb. You can graduate this down. You can start off light. I'm doing this very quickly. And then you can go for a darker on some of them. And you can always add your detail in with coloured pencils. Let's go for an even darker one there. You can go for more honeycomb. And you can add this in any picture that fits. You know, you can go with whatever fits that picture. We go for this one. But don't worry about fussing too much about it, because you can always go over. This is a good thing. It's quite forgiving and it's fun. I'm just going a little bit darker. And then we will go with, we'll go a bit lighter on that one. You can really have fun with this. So, and you can continue, and then you have like a honeycomb. And as I said, dab off any excess because you don't want to smudge it. And then you can go in with your coloured pencils and add detail. You can add shine, you can add effects, you can go around it with pens. You can do anything you want, but you're going to have such a great time with stencils because they are just a lot of fun. And then with the bigger things, we'll go for one second, guys, sorry. So we'll go for this one. You can add it in with very lightly with a pencil if you wanted to, or this now, get a cotton wool pad and you can just go very lightly. You don't have to worry too much about detail because, as I said, you can always add that in. Always add in after. So if it starts to crumble, go to the next part. And you'll have this amazing background. And you can do this with nearly every colouring book that you have. If you wanted to use coloured pencil, I would recommend the smaller stencils for that. You just trace an outline and then add the effects in. So if you were going to go for a bubble, we might give it with a very light tracing. Let's get a pencil here. I'm going to do a pink bubble because pink is what I've got to hand. So you could do just a very light round, and then you can add in your shading, and then you can grab your next shade, which might be a slightly darker pink, and just go around the outside. And leave like this part here, because when you go back after, you're going to add some more depth into it. So we're going to go back over with your lighter shade. You do this with any colours that you want to do it with. Obviously, if you're going to do bubbles, the majority of the time you're going to do blues. So then with your buffing in with, I use buff titanium in luminance. I add that all together, and then I will grab my highlights and then it's like a bubble. And you can do that with blues, you can do it with any colour, but I think it's such a great effect to have stencils. Again, with this I would add depth. I would add more depth in with a colour pencil. So you can go over it, you can do any effect that you want, but I would add more depth in with a pencil, and I would just do a bit more detailing with pencils so that you get your honeycomb look. So that, I hope, was helpful. That's how I use stencils in my colouring book. As I said, you can apply them whichever way you want. So you can add it as a texture down a body, you can add bubbles, you can add splashes, you can add backgrounds, you can add practically anything that you want. It's your picture. Do what you want to do with it. But I would really recommend that you have some practice with some stencils, because you can have some great effects. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Go and buy yourself some stencils and have fun. See you on my next video.